I left my shoes somewhere behind the dunes and came down to the waterline without them. The sand is at the temperature of skin, and everything feels easier without them. The ocean at this hour is less public. The families have folded up and gone. I have the long gold stretch more or less to myself, and nowhere that I need to move along. Barefoot on the shore, the evening mine. Barefoot on the shore, the tide coming in. Barefoot on the shore, the light still golden. Barefoot where the water meets the land. The cold arrives in intervals of wave, each one a small revision of the temperature. I stand my ground and feel the sand shift under, and that particular gravitational gesture. The horizon holds the sun at its departure, a ceremony I've been present for before, but never quite the same in any version. The sea makes certain of that, nothing more. Barefoot on the shore, the evening mine. Barefoot on the shore, the tide coming in. Barefoot on the shore, the light still golden. Barefoot where the water meets the land. Something about removing shoes at shorelines is the body's way of saying I mean it, of agreeing to be present without armor, of letting the ground beneath say you can feel it. Sand and water, bare and open, barefoot on the shore. Has finished what it came to do. It painted everything and then released it. The sky has taken back its demonstration and left the evening quiet and completed. I watched it from the study and the shoreline, from the balcony and from the windows framing, and every version of the same departure felt singular and worthy of the naming. Where the light goes, themselves at twilight. The objects on the desk have stopped pretending. The world outside has found its nighttime register, and I have found the same without much tending. There's something I've been learning from the evenings and all their variations and their settings. The light departs the same unhurried way each time, and nothing of the day is worth regretting. Where the light goes, the evening follows. Where the light goes, the colors stay a while. Where the light goes, the room goes softer. Where the light goes, I find I can be still. Tomorrow the light will find the desk again, and find the shore, and find the balcony railing, and I will be there in my various stations, receiving it and reading and exhaling. This is the practice, this is the return. The light comes back, and so do I. Each evening, something learned. Light gone now, evening here. Where the light goes, I follow and begin again. There's one chair on the balcony, and I'm in it, facing the direction the sun is leaving. The coffee's at the temperature of comfortable, and I have nothing pressing and nothing needing. The sky is doing something with its colors that I lack the vocabulary to describe exactly. Something between apricot and sorrow, something brief and exquisitely and simply. One chair facing west, the sun going under. One chair facing west, the evening light. One chair facing west, no one beside me, and I have never felt more satisfied. I've been alone enough to know its textures, the kind that aches and the kind that feeds you. This one this evening is the second kind, the solitude that finds you and then frees you. The city spreads below in its arrangement of rooftops and of water towers and antennas, and somewhere past all that the sun is finishing its long and unremarkable descent in grandeur. One chair facing west, the sun going under. One chair facing west, the evening white. One chair facing west, no one beside me. And I have never felt more satisfied. I used to think that solitude was something you survived until the company returned. Now I know it's something worth the planning, a room inside yourself that has to be earned. Chair and sky, sun and silence. One chair facing west. The dusk is longer here beside the water. It lingers like a guest who isn't rushing. The light comes off the ocean at an angle that keeps the sky in conversation, blushing. I walk the coastline with no destination, just the direction that the light is warmest. The sand curves out ahead in its pale ribbon, and I am somewhere near the day's last earnest. The long dusk, the water turning color. The long dusk, the sky refusing night. The long dusk, the coast in its last hours, holding on to every shade of light. A fishing boat is making for the harbor. Its light already on against the dimming. The gulls have found their ledges for the evening, and only I am left here still beginning. The waves have slowed their conversation slightly, or maybe I have slowed enough to hear it. The long dusk has a frequency of patience, and I have finally tuned myself somewhere near it. The long dusk, the water turning color. The long dusk, the sky refusing night. The long dusk, the coast in its last hours, holding on to every shade of light. I don't want to arrive at the vision of this particular evening by the water. Some endings you walk slowly toward for longer, because you know what waits on the other side is quieter. Still light, still dusk, holding the long dusk.
The study in the evening is a different room from what it is at noon or in the morning. The same four walls, the same arrangement of the furniture, but with a different quality of belonging. The evening makes the study more interior, more mine and less a room with a function. I sit in it and feel the shift in meaning between a place of work and a conjunction. Quiet study evening, the room more itself. Quiet study evening, the shelves at rest. Quiet study evening, the lamp made ready, the hour beginning to be its best. I pour something and settle at the desk, not to work exactly, but to be here. The notebook open without expectation, the pen nearby in case a thought comes clear. The evening study asks for less precision. It tolerates a slower form of thinking, the kind where one idea leads to another without the urgency of linking. Quiet study evening, the room more itself. Quiet study evening, the shelves at rest. Quiet study evening, the lamp made ready, the hour beginning to be its best. I've spent enough evenings in this study to know the way the light moves off the shelving, to know the hour when the room turns inward and begins the quiet work of self-assembling room and lamp. Lamp and room, quiet study evening. is mostly finished for the evening. A few last lines and then I'll close the notebook. The desk lamp isn't needed yet, but almost. The study balanced on a threshold, and I took a moment just to sit inside the balance between the daylight and the artificial. The window holds a sky of fading orange, and everything feels briefly less official. Desk at dusk, the day almost behind me. Desk at dusk, the pen about to rest. Desk at dusk, the window doing something beautiful and briefly unexpressed. The things I didn't finish sit without judgment. They'll be here in the morning and I'll find them. The evening has a generosity about it that lets you leave the incomplete behind you. I close the book and cap the pen deliberately. These small gestures of completion matter. The desk receives the tidied version of itself and holds it through the night without disorder. Desk at dusk, the day almost behind me. Desk at dusk, the pen about to rest. Desk at dusk, the window doing something beautiful and briefly unexpressed. There's an art to knowing when the work is over, not when it's finished, but when you are finished. The dusk provides a natural kind of signal, a daily permission that can't be diminished. Pen down, day done, desk at dusk. I've moved the chair to catch the last good light. The angle of the window in the evening is better than the lamp for certain reading. A softer, more forgiving kind of seeing. The page is warm and the words come easily, the way they do when light and time cooperate. I'm in a chapter that has found its rhythm, and I have found mine in a similar state. Reading near the window, evening light. Reading near the window, page and sky. Reading near the window, world outside, and I inside, and perfectly aligned. pitch and their intention. The day's hard edges slightly blurred and different. I read and pause and read and look outside, not from distraction but from simple surplus. The evening gives so much at once that sometimes you have to choose which beauty gets your focus. Reading near the window, evening light. Reading near the window, page and sky. Reading near the window, world outside, and I inside, and perfectly aligned. The window is the best reading companion. It offers light and then it offers landscape. And when the light gives out, it gives you darkness, which is its own particular and honest gift. Page and light, light and page, reading near the window.
The sun has found my desk without permission. A long diagonal across the open pages. The words I'd been translating into meaning are gilded now and briefly without edges. I set the pen down and allow the moment, the way you allow a conversation to pause. The light won't stay this way beyond 5 minutes, and I have learned to read its golden laws. Golden desk, the sun inside the study. Golden desk, the afternoon's last gift. Golden desk, the pages briefly burning with a light too soft and warm to resist. The books along the shelf have changed their colors from their daytime selves to something richer. The spines that usually read as blue or gray are amber now and several shades nearer. I lean back in the chair and let it happen. This daily, unrepeatable small painting, the study makes of itself at this particular hour, before the evening takes the gold and fades it. Golden desk, the sun inside the study. Golden desk, the afternoon's last gift. Golden desk, the pages briefly burn The study understands this better than I do. It holds its breath when the light comes slanting through it, and lets me be a witness to the view. Gold on the page, fading slow. Golden desk. I brought a book down to the evening water and found a rock that's flat enough for sitting. The pages move a little in the sea breeze, and I hold them with a thumb that keeps forgetting. The words compete with everything around them. The light, the sound, the smell of brine and distance. I read a paragraph and then look outward and find the two are less in opposition. Salt pages, reading by the water. Salt pages, the breeze across the lines. Salt pages, the book and sea together. The best of two completely different kinds. The characters I'm following don't know. They're being read beside an evening ocean. That their interior lives are being processed in a place of such exterior devotion. I find I understand them differently here, away from rooms and lamps and indoor thinking. The open air does something to a narrative that keeps the reading honest and from shrinking. Salt pages, reading by the water. Salt pages, the breeze across the lines. Salt pages, the book and sea together. The best of two completely different kinds. Reading by the sea is an act of generosity. You give the book your eyes and give the water your ears, and somehow both receive what they're requiring, and you receive from both more than appears. Page and wave, wave and page. Salt pages.